Hi everyone, my name is Sohail Coelho, and welcome to another edition of Spirit Speaks, where every week I give you a transmission that Spirit is giving me, along with some perspectives on how to live it. So I'm a healer and a teacher. I basically help people to understand themselves with which to transcend themselves. And the transmission this week is all about expectations. It says, are expectations suffocating your life? And this transmission kind of came through, in part, through a book. So I am reading The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer. And if you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. It's a pretty incredible book. It's basically about, his 40 years of just surrendering to the universe and how one kind of a series of small events turned into really big events just by him basically surrendering his preferences, surrendering his expectations, and just letting life bring something. Oh, bring a lot, actually. And so it's a pretty stunning story. That's kind of what I wanted to talk through today. But before I do, one of the things I have these candles lit is because I have a morning ritual when I carve out time for myself that just says that I'm going to ritualize the time that I create for myself. I call it a ritual of inner intimacy. I do it in all of my workshops. And it's just about, if you have a super crazy life and you've got kids and a dog and all these on the job and all these things that are like sort of calling upon you and taking you from you, how do you create a little bit of time, even if it's 30 minutes, where you basically are like, cool, this is me time, but I'm going to make the me time feel really great. So I'm going to light a candle and I'm going to maybe burn something, or I'm going to use some essential oils, whatever it is, but just like make it feel really rich. And I do basically some version of this every morning. So expectations. I think there's a distinction between expectations and having vision, a life vision. So a life vision basically says, all right, cool, I have a sense of the kind of life I want to live. I have a sense of the things I want to be doing that honor the truth of who I am and that give me an experience of play in the world. Awesome. Expectations are, I take that vision and I basically translate it into a checklist. And then basically I impose that checklist onto every situation, an encounter, an opportunity, and deem those situations or opportunities or encounters success or failure against the expectation. So what happens in that model? In that, I basically go into every situation and I say, okay, this thing better give me the 15 things that I want from life. And if it doesn't, failure. So, and I get this because I've done this a lot. And what ends up happening is you end up having two kind of really big things happen. One is you quickly judge a situation as, especially if it doesn't give you like all the things that you want, as failure. So that's number one. And then the second thing that happens is somehow you create a story about how you failed, how failings in you, how shortcomings in you, how woundings in you contributed to that situation being a failure. So then you get a double whammy. Not only did the situation not give me what I want, but then I failed as well. And I suck in some way, or I'm broken in some way, or there's a story that you can construct. So then if you imagine 10 situations or encounters or opportunities that show up in your life, and 2 give me what I want, and 8 don't, well then I have 8 stories of how I suck. Or how I have limitations, or how I'm losing. I'm losing the game of life. And trust me, I've had versions of this in my life many times where I'm like, fuck, I'm losing. Like I'm losing the game of life. And that entire mentality and perspective is, sucks. Because what it does is it just, it makes you feel like you're failing, that you're broken in some way, and that life isn't supporting you. And there's and when you start to develop a story around that life's not supporting me, it's kind of game over. It's like that's when you start to get into some deeper places of depression and isolation, and you start to retreat from life. So to play with this other perspective, which is like, okay, I'm going to surrender my expectations. I'm still going to have a vision of what I want in my life. But as a teacher once told me, hold it loosely like a watercolor, just kind of like gauzy and fluid. Nothing is super sharp. Nothing is super crisp. It's just a loose vision. And I'm going to kind of let it go. I'm going to kind of give it to God, give it to the divine, give it to spirit. And then I'm going to walk through life. I'm going to make some choices, some conscious choices based on my understanding of who I am and what I like. I'm going to choose a couple of things. And as I do, life will bring me a couple of opportunities and encounters and people. And in that, I'm just going to approach them openly, and I'm going to say, ooh, like I wonder what this situation or this encounter will open. What's the insight? What's the experience that's going to give me? Not, is it going to fulfill all the expectations I have for what this situation has to give me so that I feel like life supports me? Or that I feel like I'm lovable or worthy or I'm good. See, there's a super tricky story in there. So if I surrender all of that and I'm like, I trust in my own inner worth, I trust in who I am, I believe in who I am, I trust in life, I'm going to take some steps, I'm going to walk, life will bring me situations, and in that, I'm going to experience them openly, see what they reveal for me, harvest some insights or learnings from each, and then use that to step again. So in that, I'm not suffocating every moment, every situation under a series of expectations. I'm also not imposing a series of expectations upon myself that say every situation has to give me everything, or I'm a failure. So I think even the term success and failure, I think we kind of let them go. It's more like experience and insight. What's the experiences that I want to have, and what are the insights that I can get from them? Like, it's like that it's, in some ways, it's just allowing ourselves just to live with a little bit more exhale and with a little bit more play, and not having these like strict, rigid expectations of what life has to give us so that we feel happy and lovable and feel like life is supporting us. Because life is supporting us in a variety of beautiful ways. We're just not seeing it because we're waiting for the checklist to be filled. So, and I, trust me, I'm like right in here with all of you, with all of us in this journey. But the more I let go of all my expectations and I'm just moving through life and I'm like, cool, every situation, A, life supports me. B, I'm connected to myself and I'm making sure I'm always coming home to the truth of who I am. C, I'm going to just basically go through life and experience, harvest some insights, and then make new conscious choices. I don't know, that just feels so much lighter and freer and better and exciting too, because then you're like, I wonder what that situation is going to give me. Like, oh my God, like what could this encounter with this person reveal? Or what could this new job open in me? Or, yeah. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that gives you a little bit of perspective with which to start to reconceptualize life. And actually, a good thing to do also is to look at the past. If you look at some of the past experiences, maybe go 5 years, 10 years back, and you think about the situations that you deemed as failures or that they didn't give you what you want. What if you went back to those situations, you lifted the expectations of what it had to give you, and you reconceptualized what it actually did give you? Sure, it didn't give me these things, but what did it give me instead? And if I could look at every situation and reframe all of those situations as like, wow, I actually got something out of all those experiences. It wasn't exactly what I wanted, but I got something. Which basically means, life is supporting me. And life is helping me grow. Huh. So then I can trust this thing to come in front of me as well. So play with it. Um, I wish you much love. I wish you a lot of rituals of inner intimacy in whatever way you like to make it feel special for yourself. And I will see you next week. Mwah. Much love.